You've got a remote pilot sat in a sim rig that's remote piloting a 150 kilogram vehicle out in the desert to then race against other vehicles and see the track. It's phenomenal, it's very unique. These things are going to do 200 miles an hour and you're about to start seeing humans getting in it.
What is Saltwater Games?
Saltwater Games is a technology company. We create and we invest and we build digital experiences through games. We have different studios with mixed reality, flat panel console. People have heard of probably Peaky Blinders or Doctor Who. That studio has built and released those titles. Then we have the Web3 studio, which is called Nexus Labs. It has the motorsport title Celeros, which is our source IP. It's where we started from. It's the one that's related to the flying race cars.
And why Web3?
Why does the motorsport industry have to have the rich are the only ones who make it all the way through to get in the vehicle? So through gaming and Web3, democratize access to a brand new motorsport from the ground up.
What you're doing means anybody in the world can play, regardless of your economic background, and get good at it, so you can source drivers from any country in the world.
Yep, well, one of the things we wanted to build in was the ability for a pilot, if they're winning the races in Celeros, to fractionalize some of their future earnings and allow the community that supports them and the fans to help support them into the next level. It's a Web 2 experience, but the economic system behind it is Web 3.
I've had a lot of people in here, but very few of them keep going back to your why. Everything you think about has to have the impact in it.
Every single bit.
Otherwise, you're not going to do it.
No. It's obviously looking at utility no matter what. If it's just about value extraction from someone else without giving them something back of higher value, then don't do it.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs, sharing our vulnerability, overcoming our fears, transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Len Findlay, the technology expert, serial entrepreneur, and investor. You are the founder and director of Saltwater Games, the pioneering gaming studio that combines Web3, AI, and immersive technology with the goal of transforming interactive entertainment. You describe yourself as a startup junkie, having built, exited, and invested in multiple companies throughout the US, UK, Australia, and the Middle East. Your main focus of interest is in cybersecurity, blockchain, gaming, AI, and identity. Your goal is to make games with an infrastructure that not only prioritizes the fun of immersive play, but also the economic value of decentralized ownership. You believe the future of gaming goes beyond just entertainment to a world where games can serve as platforms for economic, social, and environmental impact. Len, welcome to London Real.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. What an intro.
What a conversation we're going to have. I want to start by saying that Saltwater Games is one of our portfolio companies here at London Real Ventures, the world's first media-powered investment firm, where our mission is to transform the world by investing in cutting-edge Web3 and AI companies while giving our partners marketing exposure across the London Real media platforms and academies. We heighten awareness, create customers, and build communities by leveraging our global audience and extensive network. Len, we are beyond excited to be part of this journey with you. So let's jump in. What is Saltwater Games?
What a start. Okay, Saltwater Games is a technology company. So we basically, we create and we invest and we build digital experiences through games. So we have different studios within the business, but primarily we're a technology company that delivers games. So for instance, we have mixed reality, flat panel console, and we have our own GameFi/AI studio as well.
Wow.
So we'll talk about that as we go.
Okay, because you always used to say it was almost like three businesses in one, right? You almost have like a Web 2 type of a studio. You've got like a Web 3 studio, and then you've got this innovation hub, which is like the AI and the XR network. Do you still look at it as in those kind of three separate areas?
100%. Yeah. So we've got Maze Theory Games, which is that's a Web 2 mixed reality AR VR studio with multiple titles in that space. People have heard of probably Peaky Blinders or Doctor Who. That studio has built and released those titles.
Okay,
those are some of the new ones as well.
Those are massive television series here in the UK that have now gone global, especially Peaky Blinders, right?
That's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of developing those games for like Web 2 platforms in that studio.
In that studio specifically.
Okay.
And we've also innovated around some mixed reality titles around Infinite Inside. So, which is a new AR VR experience, which is, I think it's one of the few titles on Meta's store right now that's about 4.8, 4.9 stars.
Really?
So, phenomenal game. If you've got kids and you need to lose them for 3 hours in a safe puzzle game, and it's cheaper than a nanny, then that's the title.
It's called Infinite
Inside.
Okay.
It's very unique experience.
And they need to put on the Meta goggles to do that?
If you've got a Meta 3, it brings together all the best parts of that technology, all the way from pass-through. So it basically starts off in your living space as a monolith, and then you also, as you solve the puzzle, you step into a virtual reality environment, and then back out again.
Okay.
And you rotate in and out as you solve and work through the challenges.
Wow.
Super cool.
My boys are 7 and 8. Would they get that? Or
they would absolutely get it. Yeah, I watched my better half. I watched her cousin lose himself for a couple of hours there in that particular title.
So you've got a game already on the Meta platform with 4.8, 4.9 stars.
Yeah.
So
it's a top 20 title already.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool.
Wow, that's very cool. All right,
cool.
so that's like
that studio.
The Web 2 studio. Okay. Part of Saltwater Games.
That's part of Saltwater Games, yeah.
What's the other part? The Web 3 studio.
Then we have the Web 3 studio, which is called Nexus Labs. I know we're going to get confusion about different names of the different studios because we've got two of them that have labs in the title. But Nexus Labs is the Web 3 studio. It has the motorsport title Celeros, which is our source IP. It's where we started from. It's the one that's related to the flying race cars.
Right.
So we can come back to that in a minute.
We definitely need to come back to that.
As a survival and crafting title in Resurgence, which is actually 1,000 years in the future, rebuilding your life, coming out of a cryopod, which has got some really cool innovation. And then we have another title which is basically based on parkour, which is a free runner, which can fit Web 2 and it can fit Web 3 as an experience. So, which is also kind of cool. Okay. And then so that's Nexus, and that's actually ran by Rudy, the ex-founder of Mythical Games. Wow. Or one of the ex-founders of Mythical Games, one of that original crew. So he's a phenomenal talent as well. So I can't wait to share where he's taking that studio as well. Okay. Because at the minute it's flat panel and VR and console, and it's about to potentially become mobile as well.
Okay.
So I'll tell you more about that.
Okay, good. Later. And then the last component, the Innovation Hub, what's that all about?
And then we have Saltwater Labs. So this is where we basically build everything that can work in either studio, but also things that can work outside of our studio. So for instance, our L3 network, our XR network, that's where that's basically built and operated from. We have a new AI platform called Sidekick, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. It's a very unique approach to thinking about artificial intelligence in games and outside of games. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And that would also come out of there as well.
Okay. So. All right. Do we have to go back to where it all began and maybe where our relationship began? Because not this year, but last year in Austin, Texas, some crazy dude came up to me and was talking about these flying cars. And that was you. That's the Air Speeder. Can you talk about what that is and then how that took you on this journey?
Yeah, so I suppose before we get to that, I've been building tech companies for more than 25 years. And I've been saying that for a while, but it's UK, Middle East, and then Australia. So, and then through that journey, I had quite a few exits on the way through, including cybersecurity companies, systems integration business, but I invested in other companies along the way. And I've got a friend of mine called Matt Pearson. He's a phenomenal cat out of Adelaide in Australia. Well, he's actually from South Africa, but he lives in Adelaide. He helped build with a woman called Flavia, a company called Fleet Space that do the nanosatellites, things like mineral exploration. They're doing some phenomenal projects. And he sent me a picture of this flying race car on a crate and said, "This is my other project." So I immediately was on my motorbike, went over, had a look at this thing, understood the pathway for that business was regarding motorsport. So because they had a DHL logo on the side of it at the time. So they'd already monetized on the back of what was essentially a student project at that point. this concept. And then he showed me the design of everything he was trying to do to make flying cars happen for normal consumer use. But racing is where you test it. So this was a few years ago. I ended up investing in it, brought my network in to help as well. And then I also was on the board of that company. So I got to be part of the journey of just the entire innovation, evolution of how do you get it from what is essentially a remote pilot frame with some props on the side to what you see today, which is, and you're about to see even more innovations in that sport. But airspeeder.com is the company behind it.
Okay.
So,
and there's people now in these things racing?
we're about to show people in it.
Okay.
So,
they do it unmanned.
yeah. So this is where the eVTOL space, to go at that kind of level of performance, the last thing you add to the vehicle is the human.
Right.
So you need to build everything else first. So you have to build the vehicles, the anti-collision. You have to build the broadcast. You have to build, how do you even see the course? You're not going to be racing inside a city anytime soon. So what you have to do is you have to go out to the desert, scan the land, build it into Unreal, broadcast gates back to the vehicle. You've got a remote pilot sat in a sim rig that's remote piloting a 150 kilogram vehicle out in the desert to then race against other vehicles and see the track. So the technology and the technological innovation that comes to bear again in that motorsport is phenomenal. It's very unique.
Wow.
But these things are going to do 200 miles an hour. The last thing you add is the human. So we're about to start adding, the CASA approvals came through, I believe, in Adelaide and in South Australia. So we are about to start seeing humans getting in it.
Okay.
A lot. Because I think now they can start to show it.
Is this going to be the future of transport?
I think eVTOL it will be anyway now. I think there is so many companies out there trying to solve electrical vertical takeoff and landing technology. So that's the eVTOL.
Electrical vertical takeoff and landing.
Yeah.
So it's electrical powered. It goes up.
Yeah, it goes up. But
right.
the challenge with eVTOL when you don't have a human in it. So if you don't have a human in it, you can basically turn these things on a dime. You see this with DJI drones all the time. You put a human in it and you do that level of physics and change in control, you can kill the human.
Okay.
So you have to bring in delay. You have to bring in the ability to actually fly. So, but the eVTOL industry in general, it started off with things like air taxis. You can see that a lot. That's I think, is it Joby? There's a few other ones. There's a few big ones out there that people have started to hear about.
Okay.
But a lot of them have never had a chance to test the vehicles in the same way that Airspeeder has when racing. They've had more than 250, 300 flights. So competitive flights, but using a remote pilot first.
Okay.
So,
exciting.
Yeah.
You live in Dubai. I live a few months a year in Dubai. I always hear these rumors that these air taxis are coming in Dubai. And you know, if any place is going to do it first, it'll be there. Right?
100%.
Okay, but there's some safety issues, and then the user, if you make those quick turns, it'll scramble someone's brain or snap their neck or whatever. You have to watch the G-forces and all.
You got to watch the G-forces, which is why you get. But so at the minute they're basically air taxis to a certain extent. Okay. So a lot of them are either probably not piloted. There's actually a big pilot shortage on eVTOL.
Okay.
So one of the challenges to try and solve is training centers.
Okay.
So there's another innovation that you might start to see a lot of. You've got charging bays. Where do you land them? So if you think about Dubai as it's pretty straightforward. The airport is where it is. You can pretty much come out and over water and along. So you're not over the top of lots of buildings.
Right.
So, and then they'll have things like some of the landing stations and some of those landing pads will be probably either over water or generally away from where the populace is.
Okay.
So, and that's how it'll start.
Okay. Well, I got 40 hours in a Robinson R22.
Oh,
so,
yeah?
You know, maybe I could apply.
Yep.
That's a little two-seater helicopter. But here in London, you can only fly those over the river. And there's all the restrictions because if you lose power on those things, then you got to be able to land them.
100%.
Okay.
So.
Wow. All right. So you got into this airspeeder, and then you took that thing and into the virtual world.
So then I was sort of retired, semi-retired. As a startup junkie,
how long did that
really
last?
It's not a few days.
Okay, a few days.
Yeah.
You don't seem
I'm
like
not
a
good
guy.
at retire. I'm not good at retirement.
Okay.
Did try it though. It didn't work for me. But basically decided to come out of my semi-retirement and I sat down with Matt and a chap called Scott, who's one of my co-investors, and came up with a plan to try and take the IP from that as the source IP, but build a different type of economic system using Web3. So around that motorsport.
Okay.
So, and that's how Saltwater Games started, put the team together that you probably see today. A lot of the co-founders in there, like Chris and Dave, and there's a few of the other team, and figure out how do we bring positive impact and IP of the flying race cars to life, and then create even a game platform where you could train someone in the game to then go on a career all the way through to becoming a pilot.
Okay.
So that's how the whole thing started.
When did you start this?
This was, well, that conversation was November 2021 on a beach in Dubai.
Okay. And why Web3? You know, why?
So democratize access, use the economic system of that to basically allow everyone else to one, contribute, but also take a share of and be part of, and then it was theirs. So, because I did my number. So when I sold the last companies, financially it was good. But one of the things that I saw was an opportunity through, I mean, obviously Axie Infinity and a lot of these game projects, phenomenal job of proving the fact that there was an economic system where games can democratize access to where people, when they're putting the effort in, where the actual monetary outcome is needed. So Philippines, 1.4 million people, I believe, was the number that got caught up in that. But also at some point, some of them basically benefited from it. So, but the economic system that Axie had put in at that particular time was quite simplistic. So, and I think there was an opportunity to do something a bit better. So we designed our economic system around play to impact. So what we did was we take anything that comes in, and we've proven this as a model already with one of the first tournaments. Anything that comes in, so advertising, sponsorship, tournament entry fees, NFT, digital asset sales, lands into the treasury. Some of it has to build the experience. Some of it you invest in environmental sustainability projects to generate a yield. And the yield helps to support, one, the tournament prizes back, but also you do social impact. So the very first tournament we ran with Bruno Senna, Jan Mardenborough, the kid that Gran Turismo is based on, they went from, not, weirdly, but not weirdly, he went from a gamer to the driver, the professional motorsport driver. So perfect person to demonstrate what we're trying to do with Celeros and Airspeeder through into the pilot world. So, but we ran the competition. We ended up partnering with the International Justice Mission, as well as all the other charities that were supported by the talent that basically took part. There was nine athletes, or 9 gamers, athletes in that first tournament, and each of them had their own charities that we were supporting, and we supported the top 4 plus International Justice Mission.
Wow.
So
okay. So play to earn was a way to trickle down the money into, people in the Philippines that basically could earn a living with that. But you took that model to the next level where there's a huge impact element, and the players are getting revenues from all sorts of different places from the Web3 game.
correct. And you can only really do that with Web3. You can do, by the way, you can do everything. When we first came up with the concept, we were trying to design it. Could we do it with Web2? Could we do it using fiat? But there's a trust barrier that you got to get over, and there's a transparency barrier. So, and we thought, well, what, instead of trying to do it using, that's why we came up with XR as a network and a token, is because how do we basically give the access to everyone?
Okay.
So into this economic system, and how do we give transparency to it? So, but then how do we then show, and if we can, I think a lot of this stuff is in our white papers anyway. We've been very transparent about the economic design that we've got around play to impact. But to go back a step, you sort of said the Philippines. One of the things that we wanted to do was finding pilots. Why does the motorsport industry have to have the rich are the only ones who make it all the way through to get in the vehicle? So through gaming and Web3, democratize access to a brand new motorsport from the ground up through gaming. So you are going to start to see some things coming from us and Airspeeder over the next few months around find the pilot programs.
All right, so you're alluding to the fact that most of, say, the F1 drivers come from some money and some privilege, because otherwise you can't afford to train and become one of these drivers. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, okay? As opposed to what you're doing means anybody in the world can play, regardless of your economic background, and get good at it, so you could source drivers from any country in the world.
Yeah, well, one of the things we wanted to build in was the ability for a pilot, if they're winning the races in Celeros, to fractionalize some of their future earnings and allow the community that supports them and the fans to help support them into the next level. So, and then in our agreement with Airspeeder, we already have a contract agreement that basically says that we'll have a crossover remote pilot demonstration race, where it'll be Saltwater Games, but with airspeeder, and the best pilots who have an opportunity to remote pilot can come across and start that pathway. Now, I will preface that with, it's a Formula One monocoque inside that vehicle, pretty much. So it's tight. So for those, it's physically demanding. So It's going to be about 3.5 plus G's in a corner. So it'll be an insane experience for anyone who does get into the physical vehicle, but the remote pilot one is the step between.
Okay. Wow. Fascinating. Are you going to get a Netflix documentary for the whole thing?
I can't say anything.
Okay. Because look, I never cared about F1. I went to one of the Formula Ones when I used to work in the city as a banker. I took my client down there to Monaco like 15 years ago, and I was bored out of my mind. And I didn't care about F1 until I started watching the damn Netflix series, and it hooked me with all the personalities. And now I care. And I went to some big event the other night at the Peninsula Hotel here in London, and I was sitting next to a bunch of people at this dinner. And it was like a charity dinner, and we were talking about how we're hooked on the show. And the guy was like, "I got a place in Monaco." He's like, "I don't even like watching the race, but I love the show." And so the documentary kind of makes it, right?
Yeah, big time. And this is the thing: so at the moment someone gets in the vehicle, and I've been having these conversations with Airspeed, at the moment we can show that and demonstrate that and legally show it as well, is the moment you can link the game all the way through to getting in, and you can start to create a narrative and a story about who are these people that are about to basically just do this for the first time.
Dude, that's crazy.
So,
and you could get like the people of Nigeria to send one of their guys, and the people of Philippines to send 100%. One of their guys, and
100%.
Get these countries rallying behind with these little micropayments to send their dude. It's like a better version of the Olympics.
And here's the thing with Play to Impact, because you know where the players are, why aren't you investing in the environmental sustainability projects near them to generate the yield that comes from there? So think about biofuel projects in sub-Saharan areas where I think it's jatropha plants, where you can basically greenify the desert. There's already an open market for it, and it basically builds everything from medical, technology support, education, all out in areas where it's very difficult to get these things, and that's all based on just biofuel sub-Saharan areas. Now there's gamers right there. They can then have an opportunity. So one, we can help greenify that area and bring all of these other benefits, but we can also allow them to play the games, find the hero, reinvest in the region again, and that's the whole Play to Impact model.
Okay, that's pretty exciting. What's the
Wish I had a whiteboard, by the way. I could just draw this all up.
Yeah, I bet you could. What's the status of Web3 games? I was at a conference in Dubai a year and a half ago, and I was moderating a panel, and there was one dude from like Web2 Games, and he just got up there and said, "All your games suck, nobody cares, nobody wants your tokens, make something that's good." And at the time, there wasn't any real good evidence for a really successful Web3 game. Now, since then, we've got Shrapnel and Gunzilla and a few others that getting people's eyes opened. Where do you think it is in your mind, and where are you guys?
I think it's super early still, but I totally agree. It's got to be fun, it's got to be engaging, entertaining. And you can't, because a lot of the games, absolutely, if you look at what's happening in Telegram, and you look at what's happening with a lot of these different games that are out there already within Web3, the ones that have gone real blockchain heavy first up front, the gameplay isn't particularly fun.
Right.
There's some economic benefits in some of the games, and there's some economic risk and reward, and there's everything from the casinos, of course, that are sort of down that path as well. But if you want something entertaining that can take on some of the Web2 titles and bring people across and show them there's something fun on the other side, it's still early. But Gunzilla, I agree, done a great job. Shrapnel's done a great job of bringing people across as well.
Okay.
So what we've done is Celeros is available on Steam. So you can actually take part of the gameplay experience as well and just enjoy it. It's a Web2 experience, but the economic system behind it is Web3.
All right, that's the key to making a successful game.
Yep,
Think of it as a Web2 game, and the rest is a bonus.
Yep.
Okay.
Make it fun.
What's that?
Make it fun.
Make it fun, yeah. I had Mark Long in that chair about 8 months ago, and he just said the thing that he loved about Web3 is that you don't need anywhere near as many users to make it a successful game, because the ones that do use it, they've got deep pockets, you got the whole ecosystem, and you can make some significant revenues from them. So the game that maybe needed 10 million players or 1 million players maybe only needs 100,000 players or less.
Yeah, that's why we started with motorsport. One, the economic system behind motorsport is decades old. So it's had a lot of depth and thought around how it works. Like you only have to turn up at Abu Dhabi circuit, hopefully maybe later this year, for the F1, and you'll see it's advertising, sponsorship. Someone else had to build the circuit. It's a real estate project, so as well, but it has use cases outside of just the F1. So it's a monetary system in its own right, just the race circuit. Okay. So, and then you've got the race itself, and then that's where all the hospitality and the sponsor, the fandom, really comes in. But the majority of people that love F1 have never been to an F1 race.
Okay.
So there's a lot that's basically remote to that sport.
Interesting. Okay, so that model's been built, and you're piggybacking off that model.
Yep. So that's why we started that pathway. And they spend at the gamer perspective, they spend a lot more because you think about rigs, force feedback wheels. If you want to make a visceral experience of motorsport come into your house, there's a little bit of a spend. Okay. So it doesn't just start with you can start with a controller, but it's way more fun. I was at F1 Arcade with the team yesterday here in London. By the way, if you've not been, great experience. Yeah. You should have a go. Okay. So don't do the elite mode. It's insane. That's definitely for Verstappen.
Oh, really? Okay. It's just too hard and too heavy and
you just need to know the circuit and you need to know the gears. But yeah, the semi-pro is pretty good fun.
Okay. All right. Okay, good.
But the equipment is very expensive.
All right, so we've covered play to impact. By the way, was this always something that was important to you, or did that come as your later years as an entrepreneur with the impact?
It was always later. It wasn't later. It was basically when I sold the business to Telstra, as a company called Virtual Machine Technology, VMTech. That was the beginning of the last time I was like, everything I'd sort of built at that point was for me and the people around and the shareholders and everything that we'd done to try and prove we could do all of this and build it. From that moment onwards, I'd done the number. So at that point, it was like, all right, how do we give back? How do we find ways to do sustainable giving back as well? So I ended up going off to Myanmar and visited a couple of orphanages there. I was doing a mini documentary. Some of the random stuff you say yes to in this life. Got a really good friend of mine called Johnny Stofko, and he invited me to do a podcast or a video on the Dave Leduc. He's a Lethwei fighter. This is Myanmar. This is basically, I think, Thai boxing bare knuckle with a headbutt. Okay. With a resuscitation rule. Maybe the next crazy thing we can sign up to.
There you go. Resuscitation model, so they can wake you up.
Yeah, you got a 2-minute resuscitation. So if you get knocked out, you've got 2 minutes to come back. So I ended up going and doing this documentary on him, and I wanted to go and meet. I was there. It was Christmas. It's like, can we do something better? And we ended up going out and seeing these orphanages. And the challenge was, how do you get support to them? You couldn't just turn up, you couldn't do remote, send them some cash. So we ended up basically going and buying a load of presents, wrapping them all and trying to take them out to these orphanages and then basically deliver it. So, and that's what I saw Web3, Play to Impact, was a way of giving them access that was off the normal monetary system so that you can actually get the help to where it's needed without having to actually get off a plane.
Right, via tokens.
Fill a minibus, yeah.
Okay, and let me ask you a funny question. Do you find that you have even more success that now that you have something altruistic behind the company?
It's our whys. We're doing crazy hours. So it's the team that's behind this is, it's a big part of our why.
And do you think that also just attracts a lot of amazing things when you're doing it for more than just you and your partners?
I don't know. Okay. So we're going to do
Early
it
days.
Anyway.
Right.
So we're doing it anyway. Okay. That's why we did it on the very first tournament. We didn't have to do it on the first tournament, but we wanted to do it on the first tournament, so we gave everything away. We did 2 rescues for OSSEC through International Justice Mission, because it was that's our why. Okay. That's why we do the 16-hour days. I love it. In fact, when I say 16 and any of the teams watching this are going to be, what part-time hours is that?
More than that, I guess. Yeah. What's the state? You mentioned in AR and VR, these things roll off your tongue, but I don't know what the state of that is. I don't know if people are playing these things, and I'm just curious, in your mind, where are we with that technology, and how much longer until consumers mass adopt it, and will it be with the meta technology most likely first?
So one of the biggest challenges, and I'll just be fully honest and transparent about this as well, and actually the stats are online, but I think there's something like 30 million headsets out there now for Meta. It's a pretty reasonable number. Yeah. But the abandon rate is quite high. So this is basically where people have it. They'll play it for a while and they'll put it down. So Apple coming into the industry, has absolutely set it alight again. So, and Meta's now got the new, is it 3B, I think it's going to be, or I can't remember, 3S, or whatever the title is going to be of the new Meta headset. And that's going to be a lower price point, entry point.
Like a couple $100.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot cheaper to get in as well. But the experience when you do the pass-through of AR and you start to blend your environment into the gameplay gets really super interesting space.
Okay.
So the technology, so we're starting to see a lot longer gameplay times.
Okay.
Because of some of that tech.
Okay.
So, but it's still, because it's not, you have to put something on and disconnect from this to play it.
Yeah.
But then it's a hell of an experience. So, so you've got to give them better titles.
I think everybody around here, we all got an Oculus each maybe 2.5 years ago. And we dove in and we were like on the Jurassic Park ride with the dinosaur and, you know, all these different things. And then I found that I was going home and not putting it on. And I didn't really understand it because I would like, you know, put on YouTube or something. And I was just like, I just wasn't putting it on. So it was just interesting to see that I was not, but when I had it on, honestly, I actually really liked the kind of like the home-based menu. You know, you were like in this exotic house, you know, with like great architecture, and there was like a thing over there and a beautiful thing. I just like chilling in there sometimes. You didn't even need to play a game. But you're right, I abandoned it, and I didn't know why.
Yeah, because a lot of people live, this is how we live. So we're out here and we're social animals.
Right.
So, but some of the titles that are coming through now, there's a lot now where you're getting social communication inside games.
Okay.
So reasons for people to be there and connect. There's a hell of a lot of wellness apps now inside these things that wasn't there right back at the beginning as well. They've evolved a lot of the graphics content. So that's why the puzzle games now are super interesting.
Okay.
So, which is why we've had a lot of success with Infinite Inside, is because we've basically taken something that it's challenging you.
Okay.
So in that game experience, not just shooting some things, which is still cool, but it's challenging to try and solve things. So
I could definitely see potential for wellness because I was in there sometimes and just in a really relaxed, chill space, even going over waterfalls and things. And I was like, wow, this could take a lot of people out of some very hectic lives and urban environments and just give them some serious peace.
100%. And some of the latest headsets with the sound systems that are in them, it's very, very elevating.
All right, so you're excited about this. Are you at the forefront of Web3, AR, VR? Like, I haven't heard of many people doing this.
Well, because of the way the studio's set up, we won't be able to do Web3 into AR, VR in the way that everyone expects just yet, because there are a lot of limitations around things like Marketplace and some of the technology integrations in the headset. But that's why we'll probably do a Web 2 experience and then link an external Web 3 experience to it. Okay. So, but yes, definitely it's beneficial being a technology company that just so happens to have one of the best teams in mixed reality and one of the best teams in Web 3 as well. It's definitely there. And when we talk about AI as well, that's just another blend of the experience.
Okay. What do we talk about next? AI, we talk about the XR, like where do we go here?
The AI is my favorite part right now as well.
Okay.
That's not my favorite part, that's unfair, but it is one of my favorite parts. So my new head of AI basically just came over from the US. He was teaching at Stanford just recently on the subject. So a young lad, he's basically just landed into London, was out with him at the weekend. Phenomenal cat. So he'd have a podcast here on his own. So just how he thinks about the psychology, consciousness, how we're thinking about Sidekick as an artificial intelligence character. So I'll go back a step. So Resurgence was the title, that was the one that I was saying, that was a survival and crafting, rebuild your life. The team at Maze had basically done a great job of putting this Resurgence experience together, flat panel PC, but there was a little drone character. So it's game presence is, you wake up, 1,000 years in the future. The actual demonstration is actually based in a London tube. But you get out of your cryopod. The world is unfamiliar, but it's familiar because there's like a tube train there, and there's all sorts of things that are just a bit abandoned, and everything's overgrown, and there's different vegetation. But there's a drone there, and the drone could then take on this character called Thor AI at the time. It can speak different languages. It can do different accents. It can bring a bit of humor in as well. But it understands context, has contextual awareness of the game. So it basically is there designed to help you then play the game and get the best out of it. So what we did was we took that as the seed, And then we lifted that out and said, well, what about if we create a system called Sidekick, about the best stories, best adventures you probably ever had, the best stories ever told. There was a sidekick, and it was with your best mate, some form or another. So what we've been trying to do is basically design Sidekick to be a peer-to-peer friend that can then embody a character inside a game. So for instance, in the Motorsport title, it's like Kit in Knight Rider. In the Resurgence title, it's like R2-D2 in Star Wars. In the Freerunner title, it's like Jarvis in your ear. So that's how to think about it as well. But Sidekick has the ability to then sit outside of the title and help you in lots of other ways too. So, because it gets to know you.
Wow.
So, but yeah.
So it starts as like an in-game sidekick.
Sidekick in-game, but it has the ability to do things outside, like, are you okay?
That's wild.
You've been playing this game a specific way. Are you all right? Is there something going on in your life? Do you need to step away from the screen? How about a walk? So things like that. Think about that from a profiling perspective. So, but the profiling, the reason Web3 again, is that profile is very unique to you. And if your sidekick has access to how it profiles you, then you want to secure that. So that's how we use Web3 to make sure that that information is personal and private to the gamer and only the gamer. So it doesn't go anywhere other than that.
Which is a huge issue that probably no one is really thinking about right now.
No.
Right? The fact that they're dumping all this data into OpenAI right now by using ChatGPT, and they don't realize that that data is going somewhere else.
100%.
Could even be tagged as them, even though they say it's not.
100%. Using things like soul-bound tokens to make sure that you're the only person who can access, or that sidekick can only access that. It's like having a best mate. Your best mate shouldn't tell secrets about you.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're not their best mate unless they know secrets about you.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Our best mates out there know things that nobody else can know.
Correct.
Right? And that way, that makes them your best mate, and that way they can be there for you.
And you generally made your best mates through one, fun first.
Right.
Fun, so all the different levels of connecting with your friendships. Generally fun first.
Right.
Some are made in pain, but most of the friends that you've ever made at the beginning are probably through fun, especially as a kid.
Yeah. Fun, and then maybe pain later, and that kept them as really good friends.
That's how the layers, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow. So you really think about this much more from a gaming perspective, all sorts of perspective. And most games, I'm guessing, people don't get anywhere near what they could out of them because they don't understand all the options. So you need a sidekick in games. Imagine
100%.
if we had sidekicks in games going back 30 years, all the developers would be thinking, nobody's using this cool feature. And like, imagine a sidekick says, hey, let's go check this out. Why aren't you using this? Let's go do this.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Remember that thing you did in Freerunner? That's actually quite a good skill set for Celeros. What about the mechanic or the commentator? The commentator who knows you, commentating you while you're racing around a circuit, and maybe bringing a bit of humor to it. Let's say you're a Bill Burr fan.
Yeah.
You've got a Bill Burr accent now, basically giving you shit while you're going around a circuit. It'll be good fun.
That's pretty interesting. You could really use that in the real life as well. I mean, even F1 drivers might prefer certain types of feedback from their coaches that they don't get in the right way.
100%.
Play with it in different ways.
Well, where it comes really into play is one of the things that the airspeeder guys have got to try and figure out is how do we bring the more advanced, so when you're trying to basically test the vehicles at the upper level of performance, can't do that with a human in it. So the opportunity to have an avatar in there that then maybe embodies a sidekick style character that's basically said, like an R2-D2, I'll take this. I'll test the physical limits of the vehicle for you. So
wow,
that's where it gets really interesting.
It's interesting how there's precedent in a lot of our movies and art that I've kind of forgot about. Because when Luke Skywalker goes to destroy the Death Star, R2's behind him,
100%.
right? He's literally on the plane, on the jet, whatever it is, right? And then Knight Rider,
Luigi with Mario. Yeah, there's
Right.
characters. There's all the best stories ever told. There was a sidekick in all of them.
like an AI sidekick a lot of times. Okay, so you think you're thinking about AI completely different than anyone else?
I would love to say that, but the world is a big place and there's lots of people working in the AI space. There's some phenomenal projects out there. Sophiaverse guys bringing Sophia into an experience. Again, so the Singularity team.
Yeah.
Phenomenal teams basically working on all this kind of stuff. But what we have is we have a studio, we have multiple titles, we have a way of bringing it to life and the experiences that we have and get to prove it, and then allow everyone else to use it.
Okay.
So
Yeah, no, I know Dr. Ben Goertzel really well. He was actually here 5 years ago, and we were talking about AI before anybody cared, and then it all kicked off.
Got to meet him in Antalya just recently.
Oh, yeah?
So yeah, with the Singularity crew.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, we've had him on many times. Love what he's doing over there. We talk about XR?
Yep.
Okay, so what is XR? You call it a layer 3. Why do this? Why is it necessary? What is a layer 3? Maybe explain that to people.
So obviously, a lot of people within the crypto space have learned about the L1s, all the Ethereum, Bitcoin, a lot of the different projects are in. Obviously, we'll just talk about those two because those two are the ones with ETFs right now.
Right.
So, but there's a load of layer 2s that built on top of that to make the accessibility, bring the gas fees down a little bit. So Arbitrum was one of those. And then Arbitrum through collaboration with a company called, oh God, I'm going to, this is...
Come back to
What time is it? Board meetings all day today.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but yeah, it's a great team that created a thing called an Orbit chain. So, what we have our Orbit sat onto off-chain labs. Orbit sat on Arbitrum, which then creates an L3 network. And then we have all of the rest of the stack that allows people to come in like a sequence wallet. So they don't have to know anything about Web3 at all. It's all custodial done on behalf of them. But that L3 means that we can then design that L3 network specifically around our game mechanics and our economic system. So XR is really a player versus player style environment, so PvP, and it was built around, the original economic system was built around motorsport, as we said, so that's why Freerunner, different titles that sort of fit that mold will then sit on XR.
Okay.
So that's the way I think.
Which then interacts with Arbitrum, which is then to Ethereum.
So yeah, and then we have a bridge all the way through and off into Arb or off into Ethereum.
Okay, and that allows you to fully customize what you want to do and make XR your own.
Yep, so we get to design it and build it the way that it needs to be done for us, and then any other project that fits a PvP style game mode.
Okay, and XR is live?
So at the minute we have TXR, so we have a test net out there right now.
Okay.
I think we've had something like 21 million transactions on it. We've had 191,000 wallets created. We've got 250,000 people on there at the minute.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.